Hello there, Ray here, and today guys, I would like to show you the 5 best bee farms for 1.15 Minecraft. And remember to tell your favorite Minecrafters about these new bee farms so they can take advantage of them. Bees are a new mod that were added in 1.15, and you can find their hives naturally inside a forest. Silk touching the hives, you can take them back to your own place with bees inside them and make these amazing bee farms. Bees will automatically collect nectar from flowers in the area and put them into your hive. Then by using these farms, you can automatically collect the materials from the hive. And the 2 items that you can get from their hives is honey bottles and honeycomb. Honey bottles can be crafted up into honey blocks, which you can use to make some really cool flying machines and other contraptions. And you can find those videos linked below. Now the honey bottle is also a food source. Honeycombs can be crafted up into the honeycomb block, which is a very nice looking decorative block. And you can also use honeycombs to make more bee hives. And you can use these bee hives to expand upon your bee farms. And you can also breed up the bees to get more bees. These 5 farms are all automatic, so you don't need a player to do anything other than come in and get your resources that are produced by the farms. Now let's go over the 5 different types of farms from the simplest to the most complex, which is by far my favorite. So the first design is this one right here. It's quite simple, and you can see almost everything just from this side here. We got the home of the bees, which is right there, which is a bee hive. We have a flower which the bees are attracted to and will get their nectar from. After they sit on top of the flower for a while, they'll have enough nectar that the rear ends will convert over, showing that they have some nectar on them. Once this happens, then they are ready to go back into their hive as soon as there's openings. Now the old bees are coming out, the ones that were inside of the hive. The new bees will be able to go inside. There they go, inside. So they take turns at going in the hive. Now once inside the hive, they will increase the amount of honey which is inside of it. Each hive has 5 levels, and at level 5, the hive is ready to be harvested. We can detect how many levels the hive has by using a comparator with some redstone dust coming out the back of it. Once it reaches a level of 5, it's going to power this dispenser here, which is pointing downwards into the hive. You can either put glass bottles or shears inside of it. The glass bottles will scoop up the honey and turn it into honey bottles. Now those honey bottles will be picked up by this hopper down here and placed into the chest down below. You can also craft down the honey balls into sugar. The design is 1 wide and tileable. We do have some extra glass blocks on the side because bees will try to pathfind through the corners despite Mojang trying to fix this. So make sure that the corners are covered as well. The next design here is one that we built up with the viewers during our Twitch stream. This is kind of a compact version of the previous one. You see many of the same components in here. The main difference is that we shortened down the redstone signal by using a comparator that is in subtraction mode. So once this hive reaches a level of 5, it will put a power source into this redstone, which will come over here and power this dispenser. This one we have some shears inside of it, and every time it harvests the hive, which is full of honey, it will use a durability off of the shears. But it will produce 3 honeycombs, which are getting picked up by the hoppers and put down into the shulker box. Nice thing about this design is there's some extra hoppers, as when the items get sheared or harvested, they're placed directly inside of that hive block and kind of get pushed outward in any direction. So they get pushed out like this direction, we got a hopper over here, we'll pick it up, and they get pushed out this direction. This hopper will be able to pick it up through this farmland, and this is because the farmland is slightly lower down. So any items that sit on top of it will be able to get picked up by the hopper. To keep the farmland alive, we went ahead and put in some water source beside it. Now at any given time, there can be 3 bees inside of the hive, so I recommend when using one hive to have 6 bees. That way there can be 6 inside and 6 outside. The 6 that are outside can be harvesting more flower and nectar, while the 6 inside will be depositing their nectar and turning it into honey. Now the next design here is a tileable. This next design is a tileable setup, so you can put this as wide as you want. It has a setup very similar to the one I showed over there. We have comparators reading the honey level of the hives and bringing that power around and putting it back into the dispensers up above. The main difference with this one is that we have the power put into this block right here, which is a solid block rather than glass. Now redstone will go on top of the glass, but it won't actually power this block. So for the redstone here to put power into this dispenser, we needed to put power down into this block, which will power this dispenser. And that way we can make it tileable with having all the redstone pieces beside each other. Now you can make this as large as you want, and what we have is all the beehives pointing towards the front. You always have to make sure that the door of the beehive is facing the direction where the bees are so they can go in and out of it. And in front of each beehive we have some flowers so they easily can get their nectar and go back inside without wasting time by flying around. In the collection system we have a bunch of hoppers pointing into a shulker box. You can see all the honey bottles that we have got so far. Now these signs on top are not part of the farm, but it's a good way to illustrate what's going on with the farm. These informative signs were designed up by Facts, which allows us to see how many bees are inside of the hive down below, at any given time. And it allows us also to see how long they're going to be in there and when they'll come out. So if I click the sign, it'll update the sign down below. And now you can see that there is one bee inside of the hive. And you can see how long he's going to be in there. This number is in game ticks, and now you can see now there's 2 bees there, now there's 3 bees in there. And the number on the right is the total time that they can stay in there. The number on the left is how long they've been in there so far. So once this number reaches the same as this number, then the bees are ready to come out and they will have already deposited their nectar. This number is equivalent to 2 minutes, so each bee takes 2 minutes in the beehive. You can see this one here is really close to coming out. Let's go ahead and we'll watch the bees actually come out. Okay, they should be coming out pretty soon. There they come out. Awesome. And then the bees that are out here should go inside. There they go. See them hop back inside. You don't need these signs if you're doing this in survival. Just a nice way to test the farm when we're building them up during our snapshot streams. And if you would like to look at the signs and how they're made, he left us a nice chest here with them in them. The fourth design over here is a nice setup where there is 4 beehives all pointing into one flower. This is a very efficient design if you want to have a lot of bees in one area. So in the center here you can see there's just a ton of bees and they're very busy. One flower in the center. All the beehives are pointing with their doors towards the flower. Bees will come in and out, harvesting the flower very efficiently. They don't have to travel anywhere. And all the items are being picked up down below and being put down into this chest here. And you can choose to mix it up. You don't always have to have glass bottles. You can also switch it out with shears. With 4 beehives like this, like I said, I recommend 6 bees to each beehive. That means a total of 24 bees in this little teeny area right here. Of course, half of them are always inside of the hive. The last design here is my favorite. It took the longest to design and come up with, as the other beehives are pretty straightforward, but this one is a little more complicated, but you get more items out of it as well. What we have here is 4 beehives, but they're not all pointing towards the center. They're each pointing in a different direction. This place is just loaded with bees flying all about, and there's also a villager down below, and you can see we got a little mini crop farm going on down here. And this uses a cool mechanic that bees have, which is when they come off of a flower, they'll take some of the pollen with them. And you can see it kind of sprinkling downwards, and this can actually be applied to any type of crop that can grow that farmers will harvest. So stuff like potatoes, carrots, wheat, and beets all can be automatically grown by having the bees fly over top of them. So during the process, when the bees are going from their hive over here to these flowers and back to the hive, they kind of stand over top of these crops down below. We had to do a lot of testing in order to get the perfect combination where the bees will be standing over them and being able to distribute the pollen properly onto the crops, as it's very finicky. Every time the crops get some of the pollen from the bees, they will grow a little more. Once they have been fully grown up, the farmer over here will be able to automatically harvest the crop and put down some new seeds. He just did some right there. This allows the infinite process of harvesting and planting crops, and the farmer will keep some of the crops with him to replant, but he will also let some of them just fall to the ground, and we have hoppers here picking up any crops that land, and they're being put into this chest over here. We're also picking up any of the items that come from the beehives, and we have shears as well as some water bottles picking up that. So we actually get 3 different types of items out of this farm. We get the honey bottles, we get the honeycombs, and we also get the crops from the farmers. And you can put whatever type of crop in the farm for the farmer to harvest up. I think potatoes are the best crop as they can be cooked up and make a decent food source. For such a small area with only 4 hives and 4 little cropland, you can actually get quite a bit of items from this. And the nice thing is that this type of farm with the bees and the villagers, they can automatically go on and on without players needing to be nearby if you build this up in your spawn chunks. So if something like this was built up on a server and your server was running all the time, this farm would be running 24/7 producing all these awesome items for you. And all you have to do is come in and pick them up. Because of that, these designs, especially this one, is a must-have for any survival world. All in all, these farms are simple to build up and use, yet produce a lot of nice items. If you guys would like to take a closer look at these farms, I will provide the world download to this world down below. Now, if you'd like to see a tutorial on how to build these up, including how to obtain the bees and get the villager into that farm, Puffingfish is going to do a tutorial video on his channel, which I will link down in the description. Now, despite Mojang, the developers of Minecraft, tried to fix as many problems with the bees over the course of the snapshots, There's still a few little quirks to do with the bees. Like I said, the bees will try to pathfind through the corners of the glass. You do have to make sure to close those off. Otherwise, they'll just try to think that they can escape and fly far away. Now, once in a while, when the hives are harvested, the items won't be immediately picked up by the hoppers, and they can get pushed out the top like this, but it's quite rare. Now, when the bees do come out of the hives, there is a rare chance that they will be pushed into the side of a wall and will be able to escape the farm. That's why you want to try to have glass around it as much as possible. If you want to, you can even come in and make it like double layered, and that way you don't have to worry about bees leaving over time. Now, the villager in the center harvests crops. The crops can kind of fly all about, including they can also land on the edge of this hopper here, which won't actually pick them up since there is a container above it, meaning that it ignores any items that are sitting on it. But most of the time, the villager is able to pick up those items and reuse them when he needs to. This little ledge here that the hopper makes also sometimes allows bees to get kind of stuck here, but they're able to move around enough that they'll eventually get back out again. Now, the number of items that a hive will produce is pretty determinable, as each bee takes 2 minutes to go in and out of the hive, and 3 bees can do this at a time. This means you can get on average 3 harvests per hive per day. So with 4 of them, you'd get 12 harvests. That means 12 honey bottles or 36 honeycomb. But bees will not go and do harvesting during the night, so half of the Minecraft day is lost to the bees just sitting in their hives and not doing anything. So if I go ahead and change the time to night, the bees will try to go into their hives and stay there. Obviously, the ones that don't have room will have to sit outside. And we can see that bees that are inside will have their number changed to 2,401 over 2,400. And they will not leave the hive. So if you want to get the most out of your bee farms, you want to go ahead and just sleep away the nights with a bed. Sometimes they'll say that the bees will only be staying in there for 600 game ticks, which is half the amount of time. I'm not sure why this is. Now at nighttime, the farmer will also not harvest any crops. So if the crops would happen to grow, the farmer will not try to harvest them because during the night he is just thinking about trying to go to a bed, and there's no beds around here. So by sleeping in the bed, it also helps the farmer go back to harvesting his crops. Once the daytime comes around, the bees will come out of the hives and the other ones will be ready to go back inside. And with this crop farm, we also have a water source over here to keep all the farmland hydrated. The farmer himself is sitting inside of a composter. That is the type of workstation that a farmer needs to have the profession. We also have a trap door above his head, that way he doesn't hop out and just start walking all over the place. But you can leave the farmer walking around, he really doesn't cause any problems. Now bees themselves will try to go into hives up to 10 blocks away, and because of this we can't actually close this off so the bees are stuck in their own little corners. Because when the bees come out of their hive, they'll actually sometimes attempt to go into a different hive, and if they can't reach it, they'll sit there and continue to try to go towards it. So by opening it up, they can kind of go wherever they want. This also means that you can't have any other beehives nearby within 10 blocks unless you make it so the bees can actually get to that. So notice in this design how it's all open, and each of these designs I kind of spaced them out so that they are more than 10 blocks apart. And it's most noticeable in this design here, where all the bees have a bunch of hives in front of them, but they're all connected into one big area, so they can, if they want to, go into a different hive. So keep this in mind when you are trying to expand upon it. I would definitely go with this design if you want to make it any larger than 4 hives. You can also mirror this on this side so that you have a lot of bees for just a few amount of flowers in the center. I really had a lot of fun designing up these farms with you guys during the snapshot streams over the last couple months. And make sure you tell other Minecrafters about these new 1.15 bee farms. And let me know what you guys are going to do with all the loot that you get off of them. I'd like to thank you guys for watching, and bye-bye.